This is a small sample of the podcast we just did today for the Conjugate Club. It was a conversation between Dr. Nicholas Romanov and Louie Simmons. To listen to this and to watch the video in full, please become a member of the Conjugate Club. Go to www.conjugateclub.com and sign up today.
Knowledge I got through him and guidance, it's incredible, just like that. And then it was my scientific supervisor, Dechkov, whom I started reading first, his books, and I got these things. And then I met him personally after that. It's a kind of influence.
Let me get this straight, Doc. As smart as you are, you actually read some books, and that guided you to your supervisor.
Right.
And what do I say all the time in the podcast, Tom? Read books. Don't think you know it all, coaches. You don't know it all. I'm 71 years old. I learn every day. The day I quit learning, the day I'm done.
This is the incredible thing about him. He is a very rare creature who didn't stop learning. This is a problem with lots of people. They think they finish college, that's it. He is educated. It's stupid attitude completely. Normally, education never stops. This is what Seneca, it's a Roman philosopher and politician. He told, you are best teaching when you learn. That
you don't learn anything when you're talking.
I think we have a problem now where people read but they don't comprehend.
Oh.
And they will read and they'll reread and that's it. They never go back and they never... I've talked about we've got a big problem with people not referencing. Because when you read a good article, I like to go, where did the study? You read the study and you see how good... But that seems to be getting lost the further we go.
You were talking about a gentleman we won't mention not long ago wrote a book with absolutely no references.
He's just one but a many.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
I can bring names, but I don't want to. When I read a book where no reference, I'm like, like that. Because I'm scientist, and I came from school where plagiarism is a crime. You see, it's a shame. If you caught on the plagiarism, you never will be accepted by this society. It's a high level of ethical norms. And here I see people are blindly put like thoughts which they compile from lots of sources, and I know where they're taking this, but why they are not put reference that they're taken from there? In science, I have to go back in history and tell, look, first man who told about this was Aristotle, and so on. And then I came in a long way, I just picked up this, But it doesn't make me feel ashamed that I pick up. It's this normal process of learning, that somebody told this before you. This is what. I didn't invent gravity.
I think my book, Special Strength for All Sports, I think I have 7 pages of references. So you can read my book and you can just throw it in the trash, but keep the last 7 pages and read their books.
But it's like it's a educational treasure hunt.
Yeah.
Once you read the article, you go, oh, then you read another one, and it never
Of course,
stops.
it's a sequences of this. This is how I learned, I read first book about running, for example. It was funny. It was a Fred Wield's book. It's called Run, 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 if you're familiar with that. It's a classical book. And in America, runners don't know this book. It's a shame, He published in 1964 in the US and in Soviet Union in 1967. Incredible book. Incredible. And I do not see reference on this book in American specialists who are writing about running. It's like, how the hell is that, This is my question.
Tom, we read books by PhDs in America and call 80% of a 1-rep max a maximal attempt. That's how bad it is in America. I don't want to call them on, I don't want to make enemies, but I shake my head that how could you have a PhD and this is absolutely your thought, your process? is unbelievable. So you wonder if they think like that, how if you're trying to develop a specific type of strength, you need to know what specific type of strength, spatial strength you're using to build that. They don't know. It's no way. It's like Russian roulette.
Well, a big thing too, I think people don't understand basic biology and anatomy. And it's very hard to be a specialist in strength and conditioning, or you're given discipline within sports if you don't understand the basic structure of an organism. Because if you knew that, it's very easy to comprehend the conjugate method, because nothing ever stays stagnant, because you accommodate. And people don't understand between adaptation and accommodation. That's crazy, but it's the truth.
Accommodation is taking hotel.
But it's this is the problems we're facing. I think back to the education system is the practical element. I think if you have a more like a trade, if you're a carpenter, you don't learn about how to use a hammer in a book and you read it. You actually go and you hit and you saw. And I think there needs to be more of a trade-like approach. And I think that when you go back in time, when you're in college, like you have to do practical, you have to work with athletes. Most people were an athlete of some sort, where now we have coaches who are never athletes. And you can't ask an athlete to do something you've never done before.
Strange thing with this happened. I met incredible coaches who never were. I could refer to high jumping where I came from, who never were good jumpers, but they produce Olympic champions because they were learning.
Bobby Knight in basketball. He's a terrible basketball player. And
Yeah.
Bobby, I'm sorry, but you know he was. And, the coach, Fred Taylor, wouldn't even let him make a shot. And so one day they stole the ball. In the game, they stole the ball and they gave it to Bobby. He ran down for an easy layup and missed a layup, pulled him out of the game. But he became one of the greatest basketball minds of all time in college basketball.
But they immersed themselves.
That's right.
To where they had,
Yep.
they weren't the best, but they immersed themselves to become the best, whatever they could be.
Freddie Roach has been boxing trainer of the year several times, and he was a slightly above average boxer. But he learned to trade, and he's made the greatest boxers of all time. Definitely.
Jack Dempsey, being incredible boxer himself and become incredible teacher, coach, it's an exceptional thing. You see that when I read his book, Champion Fighting, the classical book, I was surprised how smart he is, for boxing. I didn't mean to insult. But the brilliant book. And again, who knows about this book? He was one of the guys who started talking about body weight in boxing. And it's 1950. Do you understand when it was happening? And then disappeared. These books exist, it's published. And he talked about gravity, body weight, how you imply in punching. When I read this book, I'm like, wow, this was my. And I read like these books in rowing, for example. Fairbank, the rowing coach, he's Australian who moved to England, 1904. He talked about using body weight in rowing. Do you understand that? And where it is? Lost.
Well, Tom, we're around a lot of fighters, and what's the top coaches tell you? There's no basics anymore. They skipped past the basics. And you can see it in all grappling sports, and not so much grappling, but a lot of boxing sports, a lot of not knowing where to position their hands and not, using a jab as actually an offensive weapon to win a fight. Things like that. They just forgot the basics.
Women's soccer. I like football, but for me it's always controversy. American football. People play with hands, but call it football. It's English controversy. Football, not handball, but soccer. Probably about 40%. It's statistics exist. 40% of women's players injured in running in soccer because you are playing with the ball 10 minutes there probably. 10% of the game. 90% you're running without ball. And the same thing Same thing exists in the Premier League in England. I studied this thing, so analyzing this. And Bundesliga in Germany. And people couldn't figure out why the hell they have this injury, you know. We don't run long, you know. Yes, you do. And it's exactly